Welcome to Monk's Temple. I want you to find a comfortable place to sit. Perhaps in your favorite chair, by a window, or simply on the edge of your bed. Let your hands rest softly in your lap. And if you feel comfortable, let your eyes close. Not to sleep, but to see more clearly within. Listen to the sound of your own breath. In and out. There's no need to change it. Just notice it. The gentle rise and fall of your chest. The quiet rhythm that has been with you since your very first moment. Now, imagine you are walking along a path in a very old, very quiet forest. The air is cool and carries the scent of damp earth and pine. Sunlight filters through the canopy in slender, golden beams, touching the ground here and there like scattered coins. You walk without hurry, because there is nowhere you need to be. The only sound is the soft crunch of pine needles beneath your feet, and your own breath, keeping pace. As you walk, you notice you are carrying a bag. A simple sack, slung over your shoulder. And with each step, you become more aware of its weight. It is not unbearably heavy, not at first. But it is constant. A steady pull on your side. You've been carrying it for so long, you'd almost forgotten it was there. What's inside? It's different for everyone. But if you listen, you might hear the faint clink of old regrets, like smooth stones collected from shores you can no longer visit. You might feel the brittle parchment of expectations you once placed upon yourself, and that others placed upon you. There are photographs that weigh more than they should, and words left unspoken that have taken on a density of their own. There are relationships that have turned to stone in your hands, yet you still carry them. There are fears about the road ahead, and aches for the roads behind. You've carried this bag through springtimes and winters, through joy and through grief. You are strong. So strong. But perhaps today, on this quiet path, you feel a new question forming. Not a demand, but a whisper from your own soul, what if I set it down? Not all at once. But piece by piece. What if I walked the rest of this journey, lighter? The Buddha taught that much of our suffering comes from attachment, from clinging to what was, what might be, or what we think should be. He said, you only lose what you cling to. And in these later years of life, we are presented with a sacred, if challenging, invitation, the art of letting go. Not as a loss, but as the ultimate homecoming. To return to the lightness of your own spirit. Today, we will not walk a linear path. We will wander together through a garden of truths. We will sit by 8 different ancient trees, each representing something you may, in your own time and in your own way, be ready to release. We will share stories. Not from scriptures you may have heard, but from lives quietly lived, from hearts that have learned to soften. My own stories, and stories entrusted to me. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you have always been, beneath all you have carried. So, let's take our first rest. Let's sit beneath a tree whose roots run deep into the soil of the heart. This is perhaps the heaviest stone in the bag. It is cold to the touch and casts a long shadow. It is the whispered conviction that the story is written, the book is closing, the melody has reached its final note. It's too late. We hear it in the silence of an empty house. We feel it when we look at a hobby we once loved. We believe it when we think of a dream we shelved decades ago, thinking, I'll get to it someday. Society often sings a chorus that confuses the autumn of life with an ending. But the Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, saw time differently. He taught impermanence, yes. But within that flux is constant potential. He said, the way is not in the sky. The way is in the heart. And as long as your heart beats, the way is still unfolding. Your heart is not a clock counting down, it is a space opening up. I want to tell you about my friend, Henry. I met Henry when he was 94. He lived in a small, sun-drenched apartment filled with books. But on his easel, there was always a half-finished painting. Henry hadn't picked up a brush until he was 87. He'd been a postal worker his whole life, a man of routine and quiet service. After his wife, Mabel, passed, the silence was profound. One day, for a reason he couldn't explain, he bought a child's watercolor set at the pharmacy. He painted a blurry, bright yellow circle. A sun. It was terrible, he told me, laughing a raspy laugh. But it felt good. It felt like saying hello to a part of me I didn't know was still there. He didn't aim for a gallery. He painted suns, then trees, then the view from his window in wild, unrealistic colors. He gave them to neighbors, to the cashier at the grocery store. When I asked him what he'd learned, he said, I learned that, too late, is a lie you tell yourself when you're afraid to be a beginner. I'm 94, and I am a glorious beginner. Henry's paintings weren't masterpieces, but his courage was. He passed at 96, with a half-painted sky-blue bowl of peaches on his easel. Not finished, but beautifully in progress. Then there's the story of a woman named Caleb, though everyone called her Gigi. Gigi was 78 when she became a fixture at the local community college's astronomy nights. She'd bought a telescope with a portion of her pension. When asked why, she said, I spent my life looking down. At ledgers, at my feet, at the sink. I decided I wanted to spend whatever time I have left looking up. She learned the names of constellations, not from memory, but with the wonder of a child. She told me Saturn's rings, seen with her own eyes through the lens, made her weep. It's never too late, she said, to look up and be astonished. The lotus flower, so sacred in Buddhism, does not bloom in its first days. It waits in the mud, in the dark water. It blooms when it is ready. Not when the calendar says it should. Your life is that lotus. The mud of your experiences. The losses, the joys, the mundane days, is not an obstacle to your bloom, it is its nourishment. To believe it is too late is to believe the lotus has missed its season. But the lotus knows no season but its own truth. I remember visiting an ancient bonsai grove in Japan. There was a tree, a white pine, that was over 400 years old. Its trunk was gnarled, its branches twisted by centuries of wind. And yet, that spring, it had produced the most tender, vibrant green needles at the very tips of its oldest branches. Life, expressing itself anew on a structure built over 400 years. It was not too late for that tree to wear green. It is not too late for you to feel a new surge of life, of curiosity, of beginning. So, let's perform a small, gentle act of release together. In your mind's eye, see that cold, heavy stone marked "too late." Hold it in your hands. Feel its false weight. Now, walk to the edge of the quiet stream that flows through our forest. Kneel down. And gently, without ceremony, place the stone into the water. Watch as the current, the eternal movement of life itself, accepts it. Watch as it sinks, out of sight, carried away. It is gone. The lie is gone. What remains is the question that truth asks, if not now, when? And if not me, who? What tiny, sun-yellow beginning are you being called to? It doesn't have to be painting or stars. It could be baking a new kind of bread. Learning 5 words of a new language each morning. Writing a single line of a poem that only you will read. Volunteering to read to a child over the phone. The scale doesn't matter. The yes does. You are breathing. Therefore, you are becoming. This is the first, most revolutionary truth. Your story is a sacred text, and you are both the reader and the author, and this chapter is still being written. If this truth, this first release, has resonated with you, if it has touched that part of you that knows you are still blooming, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Monk's Temple. By subscribing, you create a quiet space for yourself, a digital forest path you can return to whenever you need remembrance, peace, and gentle guidance. Your presence here is a gift. Welcome. After we put down the stone of too late, we often find ourselves waiting. Sitting on a log by the stream, looking down the path, expecting someone to come along and fill the new space we've created. We wait for the phone to ring with that voice. We wait for an invitation, for recognition, for a thank you, for love to arrive from outside us and complete the picture. This, the Buddha taught, is a sure path to disappointment, or as he termed it, dukkha, suffering. He said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The expectation that another person, a child, a friend, a partner, even a divine being, is the sole source of our happiness is like waiting for a distant star to light your personal lamp. The light is already in your hand. Let me share a story from my own life. In my late 50s, after my children had established their own lives far away, I found myself in a beautiful, empty house. I had a loving family, but the day-to-day silence was palpable. I realized I was living on a diet of anticipation. Anticipating their weekly calls, their visits. My emotional well-being had become a passive activity. One rainy Tuesday, the call didn't come. A schedule had been mixed up. And I sat there, feeling a hollow ache that shocked me with its depth. It was in that ache that I heard the quiet, firm voice of wisdom, you are starving yourself, waiting for someone else to feed you. The next day, I did not wait. I drove to a nursery and bought 2 terracotta pots and soil. I had never been a gardener. I planted lavender and rosemary, for no reason other than I liked their names and their scent. My first attempts were comical. I overwatered, I placed them in too much sun. But my attention was no longer fixed on the phone, it was fixed on the soil, on the tiny green shoots that eventually, stubbornly, pushed through. I was not waiting for life to happen to me, I was collaborating with it. The happiness that came from seeing those first purple lavender spikes was modest, quiet, but it was mine. It was generated from my own care, my own attention. No one gave it to me, and no one could take it away. I think of a man I met named Arthur. Arthur was 81 and had been a devoted husband for 55 years. When his wife passed, he told me, I didn't just lose her. I lost my job. My job was to make her happy, to take care of her. And without that job, I didn't know who I was. He spent 2 years in a profound and gentle grief. Then, he joined a community woodworking shop. He told me he went there not to make anything in particular, but to make his hands useful. He started making simple wooden spoons. The first dozen were awful, he chuckled. But the wood felt good. The shaving smelled good. The focus felt like prayer. He didn't make spoons to sell or give away. He made them to remember that his own hands could still create, could still feel purpose. His happiness was no longer a destination dependent on another. It was a byproduct of his own engaged presence. Buddhism speaks of being a light unto oneself. This isn't a lonely image. It is an image of profound empowerment and stability. Imagine you are a lantern. If your flame depends on another lantern to stay lit, you will live in constant fear of the wind blowing between you. But if you learn to tend your own flame, with the oil of self-compassion, the wick of curiosity, the spark of your own spirit, then you become a stable, radiant light. You can then share your light with others without needing to steal theirs. Other lanterns become companions in the dark, not your source of survival. A beautiful metaphor comes to mind, the deep ocean and the moon. We often act like the tide, letting our inner peace rise and fall based on the pull of external forces, the moon of others' actions, the moon of their approval or presence. But the Buddha's teaching invites us to be not the tide, but the ocean floor. The ocean floor is undisturbed. The storms may rage on the surface, the tides may pull this way and that, but the depths remain calm, still, and complete in themselves. Your fundamental happiness, your peace, can be that ocean floor. Unmoved, because it is sourced from within your own vast, deep being. So, let's practice. In your mind, see yourself sitting by your internal stream. You've been looking down the path. Now, gently turn your gaze. Look at your own hands. See the life in them, the stories they hold. These are the hands that can build your own joy. Now, look within your own chest. See not an empty space waiting to be filled, but a gentle, warm ember. This is your own light, your own capacity for contentment. With your next breath in, imagine you are fanning that ember. With your breath out, imagine its warm light spreading through your chest, down your arms, into your hands. You are not waiting. You are illuminating. The phone may still ring. The visits will still be precious. But they become beautiful melodies added to the music you are already composing within yourself, not the sole source of the song. You are the composer. You are the instrument. You are the music. When we stop waiting for external sources of happiness, we turn inward. And often, the first thing we encounter is clutter. It's not just the attic full of boxes or the garage that won't fit the car. It's the drawer of the mind, stuffed with old arguments reheated 1,000 times. It's the shelf of the heart, crowded with souvenirs of old hurts we can't seem to put down. The Buddha taught about the importance of sila, or ethical conduct and discipline, which includes creating order in our environment and mind as a foundation for peace. He said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." I would add, better than 1,000 possessions is one object that brings presence. Clutter is attachment made visible. It is the physical form of, what if, and, I might need, and, this reminds me of. But there is a hidden weight to it. Each object we keep, just in case, whispers a subtle message of lack, that we are not enough, that the future will be scarce. Each grudge we rehearse is a room in our heart we cannot live in, yet we pay the rent on it daily with our peace. I want to tell you about a profound experience I had with my own father. After my mother died, he lived alone in the large family home for 10 years. The house became a museum of their life together, frozen in time. Every surface held a knick-knack, every closet was packed. He was not a hoarder in a clinical sense, but he was a curator of memory, and the curation was suffocating him. He'd say, "Your mother loved that vase, but he never put flowers in it." The love was trapped in the object, not flowing in him. One summer, I visited with no agenda but to be with him. We sat in the cluttered living room. I asked, not about the objects, but about the memories. "Tell me about the trip where you got this shell," I'd say. He'd talk, his eyes lighting up. Then I'd gently ask, "Does the shell hold the memory, or do you?" He'd get quiet. Slowly, over weeks, we began a practice. Not a brutal purge, but a ritual of thanks and release. For each item he decided to let go. A set of encyclopedias no one opened, a stack of old magazines, a chipped dish. He would hold it for a moment, thank it for its service or its memory, and then place it in a box. We donated what we could. The physical act of creating empty space on a shelf was revolutionary. Light literally entered the room where dust had settled. One day, he stood in the middle of the newly cleared sunroom, took a deep breath, and said, "I can breathe in here again." He wasn't just talking about the air. He was talking about his soul. This is not just about things. It's about the mental and emotional clutter. I learned a practice from an old Zen gardener. He said we must practice weeding the mind. Not once a year, but daily, like in a cherished garden. Each morning, he would sit and notice what weeds had sprung up overnight, a worry about an old friend, a replay of a slight from years ago, a to-do list anxiety. He wouldn't fight them. He would simply acknowledge them. "Ah, there is the weed of yesterday's conversation." And then, in his mind, he would gently pull it and set it aside. He visualized composting these weeds, turning them from sources of anxiety into neutral matter that could, in time, fertilize patience. His mind was his garden, and he was its tender, compassionate keeper. Here is an original metaphor for you. Your life is like a beautiful, ancient pond. Over the decades, leaves have fallen in, experiences. Twigs have drifted in, obligations, sediment has settled, routine. This is natural. But if the pond is never still, if the water is never cleared, you cannot see your own reflection, your true nature. You only see the debris on the surface. Letting go of clutter is the act of becoming still. It is skimming the leaves from the surface, allowing the sediment to settle. Then, and only then, can you see the clear, deep water below and the sky perfectly reflected in it. You see yourself not as the clutter, but as the vast, clear space that holds it all. Let's try a gentle clutter-clearing meditation. Close your eyes. Bring to mind one small, cluttered space in your home. A junk drawer, a corner of a shelf. Don't judge it. Just see it. Now, in your mind, open that drawer. See one item that you know, in your heart, no longer serves you. It's not about value, it's about energy. Pick it up. Feel its weight in your hand. Thank it silently. For its use, for its memory, for its lesson. Now, in your mind, place it in a box marked "Release." See the empty spot where it was. Notice the space. Feel the lightness of that space. That space is not empty. It is filled with potential, with air, with freedom. That space is a gift to your future self. You can do this with a memory, too. Bring to mind a small, recurring worry, a mental clutter. See it as a small, gray stone. Hold it. Acknowledge it has been with you. Then, mentally, place it on the bank of your internal stream. Let the water of your awareness flow past it. You don't have to throw it in. Just set it down. It can stay on the bank. You are no longer carrying it. Clearing clutter, in all its forms, is not an act of erasure. It is an act of reverence. You are making a sacred space for the you that is here now to live, to breathe, to be. Once we clear some space, internally and externally, we often come face to face with the occupant of that space, ourselves. And specifically, the self that is aging. We look in the mirror and see a landscape changed by time. The fear can rise, a fear of decline, of irrelevance, of becoming a burden, of the great unknown that approaches. Modern culture often treats aging like a problem to be solved, a fire to be fought with creams and procedures. But the Buddha's teaching on anicca, impermanence, reframes it entirely. Aging is not a mistake, it is the most honest expression of nature's law. To fear it is to fear the tide coming in, the sun setting. The Buddha said, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. He didn't say one turns away from aging. One turns away from the suffering caused by clinging to youth. I have a confession. In my early 60s, I developed a tremor in my left hand. It was minor, barely noticeable to others, but to me, it was a glaring headline, decline in progress. I would hide my hand in my pocket, clench it to make it stop. I was at war with my own body. One day, I was trying to pour tea for a guest, and my hand shook, clinking the cup loudly. I was mortified. My guest, a woman in her 80s named Alara, simply reached out, steadied my hand with hers, and smiled. "It's just a tremor, dear," she said. "It's not your soul." That sentence landed in me like a seed. It's not your soul. Alara later told me her story. She was a former dancer. Her body, once an instrument of breathtaking precision, now had arthritis, a replaced knee, and spots on her skin. "I used to look at my hands and see betrayal," she said. "Now I look at them and see maps. Maps of all the things they've held, children, lovers, soil, books, other hands in comfort. The lines aren't cracks, they're rivers of experience. I've stopped living in the gallery of my old body and started living in the library of this one." She had let go of the fear by changing the story. Her body was not a decaying statue, but a well-loved, deeply read book. Buddhism offers the metaphor of the mountain. When you are young, you are at the base of the mountain. Everything is sharp, green, immediate. You run, you climb, you strive for the peak. As you age, you ascend. The air thins. The view expands. You can see the storms circling other peaks, the way the rivers connect in the valleys below. You move slower, but you see more. The peak of the mountain isn't a point of dominance over the landscape, it is a point of integration with it. From the peak, you understand your connection to all the other mountains, the valleys, the sky. Aging is that ascent to a wider, more integrated view. The fear comes from looking down at the base camp you left, longing for its frantic energy, instead of savoring the profound vista you've earned. Let me share a story about a man named Leo. Leo was a retired engineer, a man of numbers and fixed solutions. At 85, he was diagnosed with a slow, progressive condition. The doctors gave him facts, timelines. He fell into a deep fear, a terror of the inevitable loss of control. Then, his granddaughter gave him a packet of wildflower seeds. "For your patio, Gramps," she said. Absent-mindedly, he planted them. To his astonishment, they grew. He found himself watching them every day. He noticed how some stems bent toward the light, how buds formed, opened, faded, and dropped seeds. He saw the complete, unhurried cycle in a single pot. He told me, "I was trying to be an engineer with my own life, demanding a blueprint for the end. The flowers taught me there is no blueprint. There's just participation. I'm not falling apart. I'm following my season." His fear didn't vanish, but it was surrounded by a larger, quieter awe. He had traded the fear of an ending for the curiosity of a process. Here is a metaphor I often return to: the aging body is not a candle burning down. That image is all loss. Instead, imagine your life as a piece of pottery being formed on a wheel. In youth, the wheel spins fast. The potter's hands are firm, shaping the basic form, pulling walls up, defining the shape. This is loud, wet, dynamic work. As the wheel slows, as we age, the potter's hands become softer. The work is not about creating height or new shape, but about refining. Smoothing a rim. Polishing a curve. Adding a subtle glaze that only years of heat can produce. The final pot is not better than the wet clay, but it is finished, unique, capable of holding something precious. Your aging is that final, gentle refinement. The fear is the noise of the fast spinning wheel you think you've lost. The peace is in the beauty of the finished, holdable form you are becoming. Let's breathe into this. Place a hand over your heart. Feel its steady, rhythmic beat. This heart has beaten through every joy, every sorrow, every ordinary moment of your life. It is not afraid of its own rhythm. With your other hand, gently touch your face. Feel the skin. This is the surface of the story. These lines were etched by smiles, by frowns of concentration, by squinting into the sun, by the soft press of a loved one's kiss. This is not erosion. This is a landscape shaped by a life fully lived. Can you whisper to yourself, just once, with great tenderness, "This is the body that has brought me here. I will not fear its honest map." The fear may visit, but it no longer needs to build a house within you. You have cleared a space. Fill it with awe instead. When we make peace with our own timeline, we often stumble upon the next trap, looking at the other climbers on the mountain, especially those just starting their ascent. We see their speed, their effortless stride, their unlined faces full of tomorrow's plans, and we feel a pang. It's not envy, exactly. It's a deep, disorienting sense of dislocation. That was me. I am no longer that. The Buddha warned against this in the teaching of mana, or conceit, which includes inferiority conceit. Measuring ourselves unfavorably against others. He taught that such comparison is like trying to measure the ocean with a thimble. You only grasp a meaningless drop and miss the vastness. I recall a powerful lesson from my early teaching days. I was leading a meditation group that spanned ages 20 to 90. A woman in her 70s, named Beatrice, always sat in the back, often with tears in her eyes during walking meditation. After several weeks, she confided in me. "I watched the young ones," she said. "Their backs are so straight. They move with such grace and intention. I feel like a clumsy ghost among them." Her comparison was stealing the peace the practice was meant to give her. The following week, I changed the exercise. Instead of a silent walk, I asked everyone to walk as slowly as they possibly could. To take a full minute for each step. To feel every micro-movement of lifting, moving, placing the foot. The young adults in the group became visibly frustrated. Their bodies, wired for efficiency, fought the extreme slowness. They wobbled, they lost balance. Beatrice, however, settled into it with a profound, serene focus. Her pace, which she saw as a deficit, became an asset. She was a master of slow, deliberate presence. Afterward, a young man came up to her. "How did you do that?" he asked, amazed. "You looked so solid." Beatrice's eyes lit up. She had been comparing her chapter 70 to his chapter 25. But in that moment, she saw they were reading completely different books, each with its own wisdom. Her slowness was not less than, it was a different kind of mastery. Think of it this way: you are a grand, old oak tree. You look over at a sapling, vibrant, springy, shooting up towards the sky. You think, "I used to grow that fast. My leaves were that green." But the sapling looks at you and thinks, "Look at that strength. Look at those deep roots that hold the earth. Look at the generations of birds that have nested in those branches. Look at the wisdom in that stillness." The comparison is based on a single metric, vertical growth, while ignoring the myriad other forms of growth, depth, stability, shelter, ecosystem. Your life has grown in rings, not just in height. I knew a retired teacher, Margaret, who volunteered at a marathon, handing out water. She told me the first year was agony. All these beautiful, straining, sweating bodies, she said. I felt obsolete. The second year, she shifted her focus. Instead of looking at their bodies, she looked at their faces. She saw determination, pain, joy, exhaustion, triumph. She saw stories. She realized she wasn't handing water to young runners, she was handing sustenance to human spirit. Her role was no longer inferior to theirs, it was essential to the tapestry of the event. She was the well, they were the rivers. One is not better, they are in relationship. The Buddha taught that all things are empty of a separate, independent self. This means the you that you compare to the young you or the young them is a phantom. That young person no longer exists. This present you, with all its history and texture, is the only real you. Comparing a real oak to a phantom sapling, or to a real but different maple tree, is a game that brings only confusion. Let's use a metaphor of sound. Youth is often like a symphony's first movement. Loud, dramatic, full of competing melodies and driving rhythm. It's thrilling. Later life is the final movement. The themes introduced earlier return, but they are woven together, deeper, richer. The tempo may slow, but the harmony is more complex and resolved. There might be a single, pure note held by a cello that contains the memory of the entire piece. You are that note. You contain the whole symphony within you. To wish for the crashing cymbals of the first movement is to miss the profound beauty of the sustained, resonant note you are now. So, in your meditation, when you see that young jogger in your mind's eye, or that photo of your younger self, don't push it away. Acknowledge it with a smile. Say, "Ah, there is chapter 20. What a wild, beautiful chapter it was." And then, gently return your attention to the page you are on now. This page. This breath. This sustained, resonant note of your being. You are not less. You are complete in this moment, with a completeness that only time can write. As we become more rooted in our own worth, beyond comparison, we begin to sense which relationships in our lives nourish our roots and which pour salt on them. This is perhaps the most delicate release of all, because it involves other hearts. We are taught that loyalty, especially to family, is unconditional. But the Buddha's teaching on right relationship is grounded in wisdom and compassion, first for oneself. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot offer true peace from a heart perpetually at war. The Buddha didn't advocate for harsh cutting off, but for wise discernment. He said, "An insincere and evil friend is more to be feared than a wild beast. A wild beast may wound your body, but an evil friend will wound your mind." Letting go is not an act of vengeance. It is an act of sacred boundary setting, a way to stop the wounding. This doesn't always mean cutting people out. Sometimes it means changing the form of the relationship. Lowering the dosage, as it were. I think of a man named Charles. Charles had a lifelong friend, David. They'd been through school, military service, marriages. But as they aged, David became increasingly negative, critical, and draining. Every conversation was a litany of complaints and subtle put-downs. Charles felt obligated because of their history. He'd come home from their weekly lunch feeling depleted for days. Finally, Charles made a shift. He didn't end the friendship. He changed its container. He told David, "Our weekly lunches are becoming a strain on my energy. I value our history, so let's switch to a monthly phone call, and let's agree to share one good thing we've noticed each month." David was initially hurt, but Charles held the boundary with calm compassion. The monthly calls became shorter, sometimes strained, but Charles protected his peace. He released the toxic pattern, not the person. And in the space that opened, he revived an old friendship with a more gentle-hearted neighbor. Then there's the story of Anna, who I met at a silent retreat. She was in her late 70s and carried a deep sadness. Her only daughter, for reasons complex and painful, had been verbally abusive and manipulative for years. Anna had endured it, believing a mother's love meant infinite absorption of pain. During the retreat, in the deep silence, she had a realization. "I thought I was loving her by taking her poison," she told me. "But I was teaching her that love means poisoning." With tremendous courage, she wrote her daughter a letter. It was not angry. It said, "I love you with all my heart. And because I love you, and because I love myself, I can no longer participate in conversations that harm my spirit. My door is always open to kindness. I am setting this boundary not as a wall, but as a gate. I am here when you can approach with respect." It was the hardest thing she'd ever done. The daughter didn't speak to her for a year. It was agonizing. But Anna used that year to heal herself, to find the mother love within her own heart for herself. Eventually, the daughter did make contact again, tentatively. The relationship was forever changed, not perfect, but the toxicity was gone. Anna had chosen her own peace, and in doing so, offered her daughter a chance at a healthier love. Buddhism uses the metaphor of the raft. The Dharma, the teachings, are a raft to cross the river of suffering. But the Buddha said once you reach the far shore, you don't carry the raft on your back. You leave it behind. Some relationships are like that. They served a purpose, they got you through a certain river. But if you have reached a new shore, a shore of peace, self-respect, and the relationship is still trying to drag you back into the turbulent water, you must have the wisdom to leave that particular raft behind. It served its purpose. Your journey continues. Imagine your heart as a temple. For years, you've left the doors open to all comers. Some have entered with reverence, removed their shoes, sat in silence, and left gifts of kindness. Others have tracked in mud, shouted in the sanctuary, and tried to take the candles from the altar. Letting go without guilt is the act of becoming the temple's guardian. You still leave the door open, but you now gently stop those who would desecrate the space at the threshold. You say, "You are welcome, but not with mud on your feet. You are welcome, but not with a shouting voice." Protecting your inner temple is not selfish, it is the highest form of spiritual duty. It ensures the sanctuary remains a place of peace, for you and for those who do enter with reverence. So, bring to mind a relationship that feels heavy. Not necessarily the most dramatic, but one that consistently leaves you feeling drained or small. In your mind's eye, see yourself and this person. Now, visualize building a beautiful, transparent boundary around your own heart space. It's not a wall of brick, but like clear, strong glass. You can see them. You can love them from here. But their negativity, their criticism, their draining energy cannot penetrate the glass. It washes over the surface and falls away. Inside your glass boundary, you are safe, at peace. You are not rejecting them. You are protecting the love you have inside, which is the very love you wish to offer the world. This is wise compassion. This is guilt-free release. Having cleared external drains on our peace, we often arrive at the most intimate clutter of all, the museum of our own regrets. These are the exhibits we visit in the dead of night. The job not taken, the harsh words spoken, the love not expressed, the forgiveness withheld, the paths chosen and not chosen. They weigh tons, yet they are made of ghostly material, the what if. The Buddha's path is one of release from the past. He taught, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. Holding regret is the opposite of this. It is dwelling in a past that cannot be changed, and in doing so, mortgaging our present peace. The deepest forgiveness is often the forgiveness we owe to ourselves. I will share a story I've never shared publicly. In my 40s, consumed by career and ambition, I was often short-tempered with my father, a quiet, kind man who just wanted my time. I'd rush our phone calls, postpone visits. I carried an unspoken belief that there would always be a later to make it right. He died suddenly of a heart attack. The later vanished. The regret was volcanic, consuming. I was haunted by every cut-short conversation, every missed opportunity to just sit with him. For years, I wore this regret like a hair shirt, believing my pain was a form of penance, a way to stay connected to him through guilt. Healing began in a surprising way. I found an old tape recording of him telling a silly, rambling story about his childhood dog. His voice was there, full of life and humor. I listened, and for the first time, instead of hearing the conversation I wasn't having, I heard him. I heard the joy in his voice. And I realized my regret was a monument to my absence, not a tribute to his presence. He was not in my regret, he was in that joyful story. My penance was keeping me trapped in a narrative of failure, far away from the love he actually embodied. I had to forgive that younger, driven, oblivious version of myself. I had to say to him, you were doing your best with the awareness you had. You loved him, even when you were busy. He knew that. Now, let me carry the love, not the guilt. It was a long process, but I began to visit his memory not through the doorway of regret, but through the doorway of the love that was always there, imperfectly expressed. Regret is like a tree that has grown around a fence post. The tree is your life, growing ever onward. The fence post is the regretted event, immovable. At first, the tree just touches it. But over years, it grows around it, envelopes it, its shape forever altered by this hard, unforgiving object. To forgive yourself is not to remove the fence post. That's impossible. It is to acknowledge, with great tenderness, yes, the post is there. It is part of my tree's shape. Because of it, my growth changed direction. That direction brought its own unique beauty, its own branches that would not exist otherwise. You stop fighting the post. You accept it as part of your landscape. The tree is still alive, still growing, still reaching for the sun. I met a woman named Cora at a writing workshop for seniors. She wrote a story about being a young mother and, in a moment of exhaustion and frustration, slapping her toddler son. It was one moment, 60 years ago. She had spent 6 decades carrying the searing shame of it, though her son, now a gentle grandfather himself, had no memory of it. She wrote the story down, read it aloud in the circle, and wept. The other women listened, not with judgment, but with nods of recognition, not of the act, but of the human frailty behind it. After she finished, the facilitator said, "Cora, now write a letter from your present self to that exhausted young mother. What does she need to hear?" Cora wrote, "You were so tired. You were alone. You were scared you were failing. You are not a monster. You are a human being who made a mistake. Your love for him was, and is, vast. Let this one moment rest. It does not define your love." She forgave herself. The regret lost its power. She told me later she could finally look at pictures of herself as a young mother and feel compassion instead of shame. The Buddha taught that holding on to anger, including at ourselves, is like grasping a hot coal to throw at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Regret is a cold coal you clutch to your chest, thinking it will keep you warm with the heat of your own suffering. But it only makes you cold. Forgiveness is the act of opening your hand and letting it fall away. The scar might remain, but the burning stops. Let's do a forgiveness meditation. Think of one small regret. Not the largest one, a smaller one. See the younger you in that moment. See their face, their posture. Now, from your current, wiser self, send that younger version a wave of compassion. See it as a soft, golden light flowing from your heart to theirs. In your mind, say to them, I see you. You were doing your best. I forgive you. I release you. You are free. Imagine that younger you receiving this light, their face softening, perhaps even smiling. Now, see them turn and walk away into a peaceful light, integrated back into the wholeness of who you are. The event remains in the past. But the charge, the poison of regret, is neutralized. You have made peace with your own history. We end our wandering where many might think it illogical to begin, with the beginner's mind. After releasing so much, we arrive at a beautiful emptiness. Not a hollow void, but a receptive space. And into that space can flow the most delightful guest, curiosity. The belief that we are finished, that the learning is done, is a final, subtle cage. The Buddha epitomized the lifelong learner. Even after his enlightenment, he continued to teach, which is to continue to learn from his students and the world. He said, just as the great ocean has one taste, the taste of salt, so too this teaching and discipline has one taste, the taste of freedom. That taste is not sampled once, it is savored anew in every moment of open awareness. I have an aunt who just turned 100. Tilly. She never finished high school, worked in a factory, raised a family. At 88, her great-grandson left a tablet computer at her house. Out of boredom, she started poking at it. She discovered YouTube. And then she discovered lectures on quantum physics. Of all things. She became enthralled. She'd call me, her voice crackling with excitement. They say particles can be in two places at once. Isn't that the most wonderful nonsense? She didn't understand the math, but she grasped the wonder. She'd say, if an electron can be uncertain at my age, then so can I. Her learning wasn't for a degree or a job. It was for the sheer joy of having her mind stretched in a new direction. At 100, her eyes are dim, but they still sparkle when she says, I wonder what they'll discover tomorrow. This is the spirit of Shoshin, the beginner's mind from Zen. It is approaching every experience as if for the first time, free from the preconceptions of expertise. When you believe you know all you need to know, you stop seeing. The world becomes a faded photograph. But with a beginner's mind, the world is rendered in high definition, full of mystery and surprise. An expert sees a rose and thinks, Rosa rugosa, needs pruning. A beginner sees a rose and gasps at the intricate furl of the petals, the depth of color, the shocking fact of its existence. Which experience is richer? I knew a retired cardiologist, Dr. Evans. He had spent his life knowing the heart in its most literal, physiological sense. At 75, he signed up for a poetry class at the community center. His classmates were teenagers and young adults. He was terrified. He told me, I was used to being the authority. In that room, I was an infant. He struggled with meter and metaphor. But he kept at it. One day, he wrote a simple poem about the sound of his own stethoscope in his ears over the decades, the whooshing landscapes of other people's lives. It was raw, beautiful. He read it to the class. The room was silent, then a young woman said, "That gave me chills." Dr. Evans had learned a new language for the heart. He had not finished learning at 75, he had simply changed classrooms. Here is my metaphor for this. Your mind is not a library where the shelves are full and the final book has been catalogued. That is a dead library. Your mind is a living woodland. Yes, there are well-trodden paths, your knowledge, your experience. But the forest is always growing. New saplings spring up from old fallen logs, new ideas from past failures. Unknown flowers bloom in clearings you've never visited, new areas of interest. Animals you've never seen cross your path, surprising insights. The belief that there's nothing left to learn is like deciding to only ever walk the one main path and never veer into the dappled light of the unknown undergrowth. The entire, thriving, mysterious forest is still there, waiting for your curious steps. The Buddha's own journey began with a question, not an answer. He left his palace because he wanted to learn the nature of suffering. His enlightenment was not the end of questioning. It was a profound alignment with the ultimate truth, which is ever unfolding. Your later years are your palace grounds. You have the comfort, the stability. Now, will you leave them, not physically, but mentally, to explore the forest of the unknown that has always surrounded you? The learning now is not for accomplishment, but for communion. It is learning for the sake of feeling alive, connected, wonderstruck. So, as we near the end of our long, gentle walk together, I invite you to ask yourself one question, not with pressure, but with playful curiosity: what tiny, fascinating thing could I explore this week? Could you learn to identify 3 birds by their song? Could you read a poem in a language you don't know, just to feel the shape of the words? Could you ask a child to explain their favorite video game to you, and simply listen to the passion in their voice? Could you try a food you've always avoided? This is the final release, the release from the prison of knowing. When you open that door, you don't step into emptiness. You step into a universe brimming with, I wonder. The gong sounds once, softly, in the distance. And so, dear friend, our walk together on this path is coming to a close. But your walk is just beginning anew. We have sat beneath 8 ancient trees and considered 8 sacred releases. 1. The lie that it's too late. 2. Expecting others to make you happy. 3. The clutter of body, mind, and heart. 4. The fear of aging. 5. Comparing yourself to the young. 6. Toxic relationships without guilt. 7. Regret and the need for self-forgiveness. 8. The belief that there's nothing left to learn. We did not walk in the order you might have expected, because wisdom is not a ladder, it is a garden. You can enter at any gate and find what you need. You have not just been listening. You have been practicing. With each breath, each visualization, each story, you have been gently loosening the straps of that bag you've carried for so long. Can you feel it? It is lighter now. Not empty, because some things, like love and memory, are meant to be carried, but lighter. Filled with space, with air, with possibility. You are standing now on the path, the filtered forest light on your face. The bag is easier to carry. Or perhaps you've even set it down for a moment to feel the freedom of your own 2 hands, unburdened. This is the promise of the Buddha's path: not an end to feeling, but an end to suffering. Not an end to aging, but a beginning of profound acceptance. Not an end to relationships, but a beginning of wise connection. You are not falling behind. You are standing in the sacred clearing of your own present moment, wiser, softer, truer than you have ever been. The journey ahead is not a decline. It is an unfolding. A becoming. You are becoming. Before you open your eyes and return to the room, place your hand over your heart once more. Feel the beat. Steady. Constant. Your own inner drum, keeping time for your unique, unrepeatable song. And whisper to yourself, just once, with the certainty of a truth finally remembered. I allow myself to be free. Whenever you need to remember this feeling, this lightness, you can return to this space, to Monk's Temple. You are always welcome here. If even one word, one story, one moment of this long journey resonated with the truth inside you, if it felt like a key turning in a long-locked door, I invite you to type a single word in the comments below. That word is not for me. It is a declaration for yourself, a gentle anchor you can return to. That word is, free. Thank you for walking this path with me. Until we meet again, may you walk lightly. May you love deeply, starting with yourself. And may you rest in the quiet, knowing that your story, your beautiful, unfolding story, is far from over. Go in peace.